Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. To the longtime subscribers, you're going to say, what happened to your face? I shaved my beard. I'm kind of looking like a Matt Laidlaw right now. Trying to be self-deprecating dad, went in, shaved my face. It backfired. Nobody liked it. My daughter didn't like it. My wife didn't like it. And now, joke's on me. I'm running around here, running the stash. But today, I want to do a video here on Talons Garage skid plates. Talons Garage is a family-run business. They've actually supported the channel previously. I love working with these guys because I think the product is just so absolutely cool in terms of its ability to give you better off-roading protection, but also to protect against the turds of the world.
Thieves targeting cars for their catalytic converters, leaving you with a pricey repair job.
The list of the top cars. Number one on the list, the Ford F-150, and finally, the Chevy Silverado.
Tundras are on the hot list for having their catalytic converters stolen at the highest rates of any vehicles in America.
If you've got a high ground clearance car, you've really got to think about this, because you not only have easy access to your cats, but you probably have more of them and more expensive ones.
Some of these people are just desperate meth heads that will do anything for your catalytic converter, and that includes killing you for it.
Police say the victim saw three men try to remove a catalytic converter from a vehicle. As he approached them, the suspect opened fire and left the scene. The victim was taken to a hospital where he later died.
And that is absolutely not worth your life. It's not worth my life. That's why I really love these Talons Garage skid plates. I had these on my Ford F-150. They are fantastic, not just for catalytic converter theft, but they're also great for off-roading. They really protect the undercarriage because honestly, every one of these trucks now that seems to exist, they all have kind of comically, ridiculously bad skid plates on them, basically pressed cardboard that comes on the bottom of trucks these days. Now, Talons Garage has been around for a while, and their skid plates, when I first got the one on my 2021 F-150, you could tell they were kind of like early in their manufacturing process. And the way I understand it now is that they've actually invested in a lot more equipment, and there's a lot more time spent on fit and finish. And one thing I'll tell you right off the bat, one thing I noticed right off the bat is the original skid plates, the edges were kind of unfinished and sharp. That is no longer the case. This is so much nicer. We'll actually measure this up real quick. 6.13 millimeters. So basically 1/4 inch aluminum. The other nice thing about these too is that they've got these little ribs here so that if you do hit something, it's not just 1/4 inch aluminum. It's 1/4 inch aluminum with some reinforcement here to keep the thing from just bending if you were to high center the truck. Very nice. And then you've got some access. There's another door here. These are the parts and pieces for the access window for oil changes. And we have two more plates here. This is the transfer case skid plates. Really nice finished edges. Very good deburring. They've also got a nice finishing process. So it's kind of like a brushed aluminum. Some additional bracketry. Here we have the front skid plate. Honestly, it's probably the one that would take the most amount of abuse. Here you can see really nice finished edges. Guess no more talking, get right to it. Might also be a good time to remove this. Picked up some road debris here at some point. Plastic bags. This is what I mean by garbage skid plates. This is the front plate here for, I guess, your front impact plate as we kind of work further back. You've got, and then to get an angle from the back side here, you can see you've got your oil filter exposed here, oil pan, which these pans are pretty thin and chintzy. I mean, to get up into that, you'd have to really hit something pretty special, but there's a lot of exposed stuff down here that you want to cover up. And then back here, for catalytic converters, which this is a diesel, so it doesn't have, which somebody hopped up on meth. I smoke rocks. Might decide they want to take as well. For the gassers, this is where you would have your catalytic converters, and that's where this plate is going to go in here. So the transmission, pan, and everything that you have here will also now be protected from a skid plate, which right now is just completely exposed. So we want to cover all of this area, which we will do. And then there's another plate, I believe, that goes back here for the transfer case. We'll start up front and work our way back. This thing is not really doing a whole lot. I just took this hose here that is kind of a dangly floppy thing that was attached to the skid plate or plastic plate. I just reversed this clip and kind of attached it to this piece of plastic here. Shame on you, GM, for on an AT4 off-road packaged vehicle having a plastic skid plate that isn't doing anything to protect this component here. This is actually hanging certainly low enough that you could cause potential impact. We'll install our brackets. I love when they put the D anytime a company does stuff like that. I love it. Learning lessons. This kit, just for the front skid plate. The website says that the AT4 has a different kit. I kind of figured out what could really be that different. The diesel, this Pureberg, I believe this is an EGR component, and on the diesels, it prevents you from being able to actually run the bracketry for just the front skid plate. The rest of the plates will work fine. Yeah, I screwed this up. Originally, I thought that this front plate wasn't going to work because there was some interference going on with the bracket, because Talons Garage does tell you, if you look at their website, that the regular skid plate package, they actually have a separate one for the AT4, which utilizes the factory skid plate up front. There's some different things going on. So I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, and I thought that bracket wasn't going to fit. But that little D that was cut into that bracket actually was the perfect place for having to cut off just this much of the bracket. And that was enough to get it to fit up in there, and it fits absolutely perfectly fine. Super thrilled with it because that plate on the front is so much better than having to stick with this flimsy piece of trash that comes on it from the factory. So I get this hose to get up kind of, if I can switch this clamp around far enough away, I think. Perfect clearance. That is awesome. So much better. The DGR component has plenty of space. And over here, hoses are all up out of the way. We do have a hose right here, but there's distance here, and I cut that bolt down just so that we're not having any potential rubbing issues there. That should be totally fine. It's about a finger width of gap there. Try not to scratch it up too much, but it is just a skid plate, so it's kind of the whole function and purpose of it. Get in there. These things are so nice. There we go. Start to access the fuel filter. And there we go. So there you have it. That is the install of the complete Talons Garage skid plate kit for the 2024 GMC Sierra. And I've got to say, I am really thrilled that it worked out the way that it did, because OEM, first and foremost, this is the shield from the front, which is the main basically bash plate of if you're going to hit something, you're probably going to hit right up here. And this is what was protecting, and it's just a bunch of flimsy plastic. Once you got behind that, you have this steel plate here that is, you know, I don't know, it's okay, but it wasn't protecting much itself either. And once you get beyond that, you have zero protection for catalytic converters with the OEM setup, and your transmission is just sitting there totally exposed. So this covers up that whole area. And then when you talk about the transfer case for the rear, this is what was kind of protecting the rear there, and not really a whole lot. And actually, if you were to hit anything, I think this thing would just buckle up and not really do a whole lot anyhow. So this whole setup, way nicer. One of the coolest shots that I was able to get through this whole process was doing the overlay between the original setup and then with the Talons Garage, where you can actually see what this is protecting more than what the OEM does. So again, I think it's very critical, talking about the catalytic converter protection, to just eliminate that as a possibility. If anybody were to crawl up underneath here and look for those cats, granted it's a diesel, they don't have them, but you don't know if somebody's going to just lop off what's there because they don't know the difference. Either way, if you have a plate there, it's just that, you know, most thieves are looking for a quick hit, and if they have to work any harder than they're used to, they're just going to move on to the next one. Let somebody else be the target. Don't let it be you. So the catalytic converter protection, huge. But then also just having all of that additional protection for off-roading to prevent anything from hitting up in that, you know, transmission or getting up in the oil pan. Way more protection than what comes from the factory. Now you also have the doors that are perfect for accessing your oil filters, your fuel filters, so you don't lose any access for maintenance. You don't have to remove all of the plates to get to all that stuff. It's really easy. You'll see it in a video in the future. If you subscribe to the channel, I will cover an oil change sometime in the future here, where you guys will be able to see accessing that stuff, and that it's really no big deal. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to support the channel. I will see you guys next time.